Assalaamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace and blessings be upon all. I just wanted to share not only this beautiful scene that when I see it, I think Allahu Akbar, that Allah, the creator of all, is the greatest. But I also wanted to share some words surrounding that particular phrase because in recent times, through mainstream media, different movies, different events that have occurred, people have been exposed to that phrase. I remember a couple years ago, a few years ago, can't remember precisely, but I went to a skate park. I was somewhat intrigued by the world of aggressive skaters and just the whole skate park scene of using the ramps and jumping and grinding and all of that. I had always rollerbladed, but I had never been involved in that. So I went to this particular park and I was with a group of people, and it happened to be in New Jersey, but in a certain area where I don't think there was as many Muslims or as much diversity. And it was time for me to make salah. So before I went into the park, I said, okay, I'm going to make my prayer. So when I did that, a group of children saw me from a distance, or teens saw me from a distance, and they said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Basically, they were saying Allahu Akbar and trying to make fun. And I heard them say a few other things. Maybe they threw in the word terrorist or something like that. And I gave them, I gave them a little talk after that. And it was really funny how most of them, they just kind of they didn't want to step up to the fact or admit that they had said it, even though I knew it was them. And then all was well. That was handled and life went on. And I skated and they skated and it was great. But I saw something recently that reminded me of how more people need to be educated on what does this term mean, and to realize that the context that often they may have been exposed to it is not proportional to the amount of times that it is actually used in a completely different context. So you'll have a person who in mainstream media is presented as doing a certain act and saying this phrase. But how often does that actually happen? How often do these events occur when you look at the fact that this is a phrase that every Muslim says or has said at some point in their life? For example, or not for example, uh, the ultimate example is when we make our prayer. Every single time you see a Muslim raise their hands and say Allahu Akbar, that's just one time in the prayer, just one time that you see them doing that. But every time they change their position in that particular prayer, called the salah that we make 5 times a day, every single time they're saying Allahu Akbar. So let's multiply that times all of the Muslims in the world. We're talking about 1.5 billion people. Some are devotees, some pray, some do not. But let's just say only a third of them do. Or let's just say only 1 billion of them do and the other 500 million don't. Whatever the case may be, we're talking about countless masjids all over the world, or mosques all over the world, innumerable Muslims who are saying this phrase in a time of peace, in a time of beautiful divine connection. That's when they're saying the phrase. They're saying it at a time when they are in, some would call it meditation, but not the type of meditation that empties your mind, but focuses your mind on the one who created all. And so I take issue with beautiful, deep, profound statements that if a person just understood the statement Allahu Akbar, it could revolutionize their entire life. It could penetrate them from within in such a manner that they would realize everything in its proper, true perspective. When you're going through difficulty in life and that bill that you have to pay, or that relationship that isn't working, or that death that occurs, whatever hardship that we're going through, Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater than that. And what does that mean? That means that you turn to Allah to raise you, to elevate you, to ease your heart, to relieve the pain, to help you encounter that hardship, to overcome whatever it is that you're going through. If you're connected to the one that created this entire universe, look at me now. The sky is somewhat cloudy, the sun isn't out, but it's so bright that I'm squinting. I can't help but squint. This by itself shows that I am not omnipotent. I am not one who is capable of all things. Can I create the sun? I can't even look at the sun without squinting. So, the one who created the sun, who created the stars, who, whether you believe in the Big Bang or whatever the case may be, brought all of that into being, brought all of that into, originated all of that. The one who is capable of that is certainly capable of helping us in all of our affairs. Allahu Akbar. And I want to make a quick point that Allah is the name that Moses used, that Jesus used, in a somewhat different pronunciation, at least according to texts that we are still in touch with. For example, when we look at the Aramaic text and we see that when it's, well, we don't believe in Islam that Jesus was crucified. But in that particular text, it's saying that when Jesus was on the cross, that he said, Ila ila lama sabaktani. Ila ila. Ila sounds very close to Allah, and they translate that as Lord, Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? That's Aramaic. Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic are all linguistically interconnected. So there's a similar sound, there's the same meaning, the same as shalom and salam. Muslims say Salaamu Alaikum. Jews say Shalom Alaikum. It's the same. So I wanted to make that point because Allah sounds foreign to people who are used to saying God, whatever they may believe. So many people are used to saying the word God, and God is not the actual proper name that he gave to himself. And I was thinking in my head how this is something to delve into, to go a little bit more. So why do we say he? Because you have individuals that say this is patriarchal. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I am taking from a resource and a source that I am connected to and that I feel firm nourishment and conviction in regards to. And so that is what I'm presenting at the moment. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I hope that, and my wish is that all of those who have only a negative association with that particular phrase, with Allahu Akbar, may realize that it is something to be incorporated. The concept is to be incorporated in our lives. And I'm hoping for a shift of consciousness and for all of us to go through a mental, spiritual detox.